Welcome to Small Business, Big Network, the podcast for small business owners who want big results from their networking. I'm Liz Drury, a freelance voiceover artist who knows that if you're not working, then networking could help. Matthew Priest is a partner at Forrester Boyd Accountants in North Lincolnshire. He firmly believes that networking is all about building relationships, and it seems he has quite a good time doing it too. Hi Matthew, thank you so much for joining me on the podcast today.
Happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
So tell me a bit about Forrester Boyd, what the company does and what you do for them in particular.
So Forrester Boyd is a firm of accountants. We've been in business it's our 86th year. It was our 85th year in business last year. Quite a well-established practice. It was our 85th year last year. We had a few celebrations lined up and various bits to do, but obviously COVID soon stopped and it's not really felt it wasn't really right to sort of be celebrating our 85th year in business when times were as they were. So all of that got kiboshed. But yes, we've been going for 85 years. We've got offices across Lincolnshire. So we've got Scunthorpe, Grimsby, Louth, Beverley, Hull and Skegness. And predominantly we're a partner-led firm, which means the partners are the key contacts to the clients, and we deal with everything the client needs us to deal with and more, basically.
And so what's your role within Forrester Boyd?
So I'm a partner at the Scunthorpe office. I rose through the ranks. I started at Forrester Boyd when I left college, so when I was 18, and I'm 35 now, so rose through Forrester Boyd and I'm now a partner. So I have a portfolio of clients where I will making sure they're complying with everything they should comply, but then I will help them I'll help them to save money, basically, tax planning and helping them to understand the figures and get a feel for them and help them to save and make more money and then plan all the way through the life of the business and exiting the business and retirement and everything like that as well.
So it must be a good firm to work for since you've been there for so long.
Yeah, we do tend to have quite a few people who have sort of got the same longevity as me. I think someone's coming up to retirement having started at Forrester Boyd, so I think they're at 50 years or something.
Wow.
Like that.
That's good to hear. So tell me about what methods you use as a company to find new clients.
There's a mixed bag, really. I think you've got to try. Me in particular, I'm always looking to try new things as well. So I'm always trying to do new things to get new business in. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I don't know about you, Liz, but I often find that a lot of stuff really you sort of try and almost a lot of it don't work, and you sort of I don't know, it's tough going. You sort of trying new things, trying what don't work, but you've still got to persevere and keep doing it and keep getting your face out there as well.
Yeah. I think it's a lot about just kind of keeping your name in front of people, isn't it, as much as anything?
Yeah, so I do the traditional networking, so attend networking events. Well, I haven't attended any networking events in a while, but so replace that with virtual networking at the minute. So virtual events, chatting to people at these virtual events. Do quite a bit on LinkedIn for networking, trying to put some content out there, trying to comment on other people's content and try and get a bit of momentum that way. I'll also encourage clients to refer us because that's a big source of introductions for accountants is their existing clients. I'll also encourage sort of staff members, friends, anyone like that to keep their ears open for any opportunity they hear for anyone looking for an accountant. I'll also look at things locally. If I see any businesses open, I might try and contact them to see if they've got an accountant in place. But what I try and do is my main thing, I suppose, is building up some mutual referrals. So because I've got a big client base, I'm able to refer other contacts into clients, which works quite well because it's helping the client as well. So
Yeah.
if I'm sat with a client and a client's needing something, and I say, oh, I know someone that can help with that, then that works well for the client, and it helps me to get an introduction, which then you sort of think the more I can do that and the more I can refer people in,
Yeah.
then they're more likely to refer me
Yeah.
as well. So that's what I try to encourage, really, and I'm in a great position because I deal with a lot of businesses, and a lot of the owner managed businesses which I deal with I'll often be their first point of contact for a lot of things because they don't have it in house, they don't have anyone business minded to speak to, so they'll often pick up the phone and speak to me, which is what I encourage as well, really, because it, like I said, it helps everyone. If I can then refer someone into a client, it's helping the client, it's helping the person I'm referring into, and hopefully it's helping me
Yeah.
as well in the long run to get referrals my way.
Yeah, I think it's all about being helpful. So, how much networking were you doing prior to lockdown?
Uh, Lockdown's so long ago now, I can't even remember that thing. I suppose not a great deal. Maybe one or two. I'd say two a month, really. Two events a month would be typical of me to attend.
And what sort of meetings were they that you were going to?
So the business hive was always one I would go to, and then that would probably be one a month, and then I'd often get invited to other people's networking events or groups, so I'd attend them sporadically. If a bank was putting on an event, if we put on an event, which we used to put on events a couple of times a year, so they would sort of fill in the other networking opportunities, really. I'd also, I suppose it'd be a bit more as well because a few key contacts, a few like business contacts, I'd go out with in a bit more of a bit of a smaller networking group. So we might have breakfast, a few of us, or some bacon butters and things like that as well.
Yeah, that's what's missing from the online networking, isn't it? Bacon butties.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the food and drink. It's not quite the same, is it? Just having it on your own.
So, the food and drink aside, how have you been finding networking online?
I I find it I find it all right. The events I've gone to, they're fairly laid back because you can't have any one to ones with anyone during the networking session. So what I've been doing is the networking online. Obviously, is just a big group, and you sort of chat when you can, say a bit about yourself. But then what I'll try to do is follow up after that with a Zoom chat with people where I think we can maybe help each other, or there's maybe an opportunity for mutual referrals, or maybe in some cases I don't know enough about their business, and I think I could do with knowing a bit more, really. So I'll often sort of follow up the big networking events with a few one-to-one virtual Zoom chats and virtual coffees. Really.
I think that's probably the most important bit because that's where you really get to know people, isn't it?
Yeah, and that's it because the the events as they are virtually, you can't have any one-to-one time with anyone. You can't have a quiet word with anyone. You can't really say a lot, can you? It's all just sort of because you're with everyone and in a big group. It's all quite generic. So yeah, I've just had sort of seen that, and it's a good opportunity as well because actually when you're networking in person, you do have the one-to-one, but you don't have a great chat with people. You don't have a great deal of time to chat with everyone. So I've found this is a good opportunity to have like a good half an hour with someone afterwards, and really have more of a one-to-one than what you would have at a networking event, really.
Yeah. So, do you think that will carry on once we can go back to face networking? Do you see yourself having more one-to-ones on Zoom than you would in a real life situation?
I um I think so. it's difficult to know what other people's appetite would be like, but for me it works quite well, because when you're meeting people and having that one to one and you're getting to know people a bit more, you don't know what'll come out of it.
Yeah.
Sometimes nothing will come out of it. Sometimes a bit might, or sometimes a lot might, but for a lot of it, it can be quite a time commitment if you're having to sort of travel about places and meet people and not know what you're going to get. Whereas a quick half an hour Zoom doesn't really affect your day
Yeah.
that much, really. So I will sort of keep offering the Zoom invites out and the virtual coffees out, but it depends on what other people's appetite is like for
Yeah. I
those.
mean, I think people are more used to doing things that way now, aren't they? I think before the lockdown, if you suggested a Zoom conversation with people, they'd wonder what you were talking about, half the
Yeah,
people,
exactly. Yeah.
or, something that they hadn't really tried before. But I think now everyone's so used to using it, aren't they?
Yeah, and I think I think people will be open to it if I'm meeting someone in the flesh in a networking event, and then I'm sort of emailing them afterwards and saying, "Oh, do you fancy one to one Zoom chat?" I think people will probably be okay. Will
Yeah.
probably be receptive to it.
Yeah.
But we'll
And
see. I mean, if someone is very local, then it makes sense to just pop down the road type of thing. But um, if not, and it's going to cause interruptions, then I think a Zoom chat is a great way of doing it.
yeah. Yeah. Now, you said a little while ago that you sort of never really know what's going to come out of a networking meeting or a one-to-one. What do you think are the best things that have come out of networking for you?
I think it would be short sighted to say like a new bit of business, because I mean ultimately that's what you're doing it for, is to get more business, but it's not as direct as that. I don't think. For me, it's the best things are the relationships you're building
Yeah.
from there, and the ability to meet a contact who you can refer things to and get referrals back from, really, and that sort of really building up them business relationships with people who have got a similar client base to you, and you've got some synergies within your business, and you can work together on. They're sort of the real success stories for me. But even if I'm, I think with networking, and I don't know if it's just accountants, but because obviously I don't see as many accountants at networking events as I used to. But when you used to go, there used to be quite a lot of
Yeah.
accountants there. And when I used to go, my sort of boss at the time would say, did you get any business out of it? Have you got any new clients out of it? And I'd say no. I'd say no. No, I haven't. And in fact, most of what it was just people trying to sell me stuff, basically, when I had no power to actually buy anything anyway. But that sort of used to be the perception, I think, which is the wrong perception. I don't know if
Mm.
it's just accountants that had that, but it used to be you go into a networking event, you need to pick up a new client, but I never looked at it like that. I looked at it as the people, the connections you're building up, the
Yeah.
relationships you're building people's trust, and at the very least, I'm getting the brand out.
Yeah.
I'm making the brand. I'm getting a bit of engagement that way. So that was the very least. But then, like I said, to me, it's all about the building connections, and you've just got to stick at it. You've just got to have the longevity, and you've just got to
Yeah.
build the relationships and get to know people more and more, and become trusted with people,
Yeah.
and then they'll feel, and then you've got to build the trust. Then you've got to, in my case, I always think I've got to build the trust. Then I've got to try and get a bit of business someone else's way first of all, and then they might try me out with something. In which case, I need to then make a real good impression. So it's a real long burner, I see it as, but it's one of them things to stick to. So it's not a quick win, I don't think.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. I think the way to look at it is about connections and building relationships. It's not about selling, because that really puts people off anyway, doesn't it? If you go into
Yeah,
a room and
yeah,
try and sell to them, nobody wants that.
yeah, and that's what, so whenever I'm at a networking event, I don't sell my services at all. I just go and just have a general chat with people about whatever, about our businesses, about life in general. I don't say to anyone, do you need a new accountant? I just go and get to know people
Yeah.
really, and try and do it that way. But yeah, so that's going back to the question. I do go off topic sometimes, but going back to the question, that would be like the real success is building them connections who are able to refer um, work to you and who you can refer work back to, really.
Yeah. Yeah. So are you the only partner that networks, or do some of the others do it as well?
Some of the others do it, so I will take care of a lot of stuff in Scunthorpe. There's other partners who will attend. If there's an event in Grimsby, who will attend the events in Grimsby. But it's not every accountant's cup of tea, to be fair. I think it's not a lot of people's cup of tea, is it? Networking, really. So we sort of leave it to the people who wanna do it, who wanna get out and meet new people, and who want to do the networking. But in Scunthorpe, I would be the main one, the main face, I suppose.
Yeah.
Don't know if that's good or bad for people.
I mean, I guess though, even if some of the other partners are choosing not to network, you're still helping them in a way, because you're just getting the name of Forrester Boyd out there. If people don't remember your name, they might remember the name Forrester Boyd, which might be useful for the other partners.
Yeah, exactly, and that's like I said, that's how I always look at it. The least you're going to get out of a networking event is getting the brand out there a little bit. So even if you don't pick anything up, you've got your brand out there. It's on like the guest list and
Yeah.
and things like that. So you're always doing that. I think, like I said, all the other partners will just not be as comfortable networking, or have other sources of introductions, or have already sort of built up the connections, I suppose, to an extent where they feel like they've got a good balance of people to refer to and people to get referrals in from, I suppose.
Yeah. Yeah. So I guess it's something that you're going to carry on doing then?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I like it. I especially when you can get out there and have some actual food, have some food as well. That is always a bonus. But I like getting out of the office. I like meeting people, and especially when you do it more and more and you start to become more familiar with people, it is a lot more enjoyable, because you sort of know them on a more personal
Yeah.
level, and you can just go and have a bit of a laugh with people,
Yeah.
really. Whereas when you first go in, I found it quite pretty daunting, really, and you sort of stood there with people you don't know, and you're having to either sort of interrupt a conversation almost, or you're having to just sort of hang by the coffee machine until someone comes over to talk to you, really.
Yeah, I know what you mean. It is much easier once you've got to know a few people who are other regular networkers, and
Yeah.
it becomes your extended social life almost, isn't it?
Yeah, and that's what it's like. So you do get to know people quite well, and you can have like a bit of a laugh with some people, and you genuinely like wanting to see some people almost who you're on with, and you're thinking, oh, I'll get to see them and have a bit of a laugh with them.
Yeah, and you genuinely want to help them with their business as well, don't you?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so it is good. The position I'm at with networking, I'm enjoying it, and I find it good and useful. But like I said, it's not always been like that. Not when you're first getting into it and you sort of you don't know anyone. But as you do it, you just become more and more comfortable with it, don't
Yeah,
you?
yeah, definitely. So just finally then, how can people get in touch with you and Forrester Boyd?
Yeah. So the website is www.forresterboyd.co.uk. So if people search for us on the web, they'll see us. My email is always probably the best way to contact me, which is m.priest@forrester-boyd.co.uk.
And I imagine you're on LinkedIn too?
Yes, I'm on LinkedIn. I'm quite Yeah, you probably see me if you go on LinkedIn, and you'll see me having quite a few posts and quite a bit of engagement with people on there. There's a bit of a standing joke in the office that whenever anyone goes on LinkedIn, they just see me and see how I've commented on things and stuff like that.
Oh, brilliant. Well, thank you very much for being my guest today. And hopefully we'll be able to meet at a real life meeting soon, maybe with a bacon butty.
Yeah, no, it's been great, Liz. Thanks for having me, basically.
No worries. Take care.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks for listening to Small Business, Big Network. If you found this podcast useful, please do rate, review and subscribe. And don't forget to share it with the rest of your network too.